going on, guys? I'm Justin. I'm joined here today with Alec. Welcome to On the Clock with uSTADIUM. And today we've got a 2-round mock draft for you guys. So Alec and I put this together a few hours ago. We debated a little bit, but very excited to be here. Got the U hoodie on. This will be I believe might be our last show before the draft. We might have other stuff planned during the draft, and we'll probably do another show next Monday. But for our final show before the draft, we're going to go ahead and give you our final mock draft. 2 rounds. Why don't we just go ahead and hop right into it? So Alec is going to be starting off with the evens, and the odds, and I will be going with the evens.
All right, so first pick, Jacksonville. We're going with Trevor Lawrence because that is we tried to make it like our predictions of what's going to happen, not as so much who we would draft in that spot, but like what we think the GMs and the teams will do. So, yeah. But the Jags are picking Lawrence anyways. So
yeah, we've been on that for probably multiple years now that he would go number 1. Like we said, this is more of a predictive draft than more what we would do. So, and I'm pretty certain that we all know the Jets are taking Zach Wilson, quarterback at BYU, at number 2. That seemed like how it's going to be for a while. Rappaport says, send him a text, welcome to New York. Joe Douglas seems to love him. And it looks like he's going to be quarterback in New York for the foreseeable future. I would personally go Fields here. I believe he's the better player, but, who knows? I might eat my words. Zach Wilson does have incredible arm talent. It's just a matter of whether or not he can improve that decision making a little
bit. Zach Wilson wouldn't be my pick either. I'd rather pick Kellen Mond over Zach Wilson. So for 3, this was hard because we feel since we were trying to predict what teams were going to do, as much as I want San Francisco to pick Justin Fields, I don't think they will at this point, 72 hours before the draft. So we actually penciled in Trey Lance for number 3. I think Kyle Shanahan will fell in love with Trey Lance, and he believes Trey Lance can be the leader of a San Francisco team that can get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I believe Lance is definitely more of a Kyle Shanahan type guy as well, and he was my quarterback too for the longest time. I eventually did put Justin Fields ahead of him, but I believe Trey Lance, given time, especially in this offense, that is going to be a dangerous team for a long time. But at number 4, we have Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons. So this was a really, really big toss-up for us. We debated on this for a while. Falcons could really go quarterback. They could go wide receiver. They could go Penei Sewell. But we believe that Kyle Pitts is probably player 1 in this draft, and probably what Atlanta is going to choose to do here at number 4. But yeah, sorry, we're having some technical issues right now. But going on to number 5 at Sin City.
So number 5, I think we're going with Sewell. As much as a certain Bengals fan on uSTADIUM wants Jamar Chase to be the pick, Sewell is the logical pick, and it's hard to trust the Bengals management because they tend to not do things correctly. But we project Sewell to go 5 because we believe Burrow's health is more important than taking a position not at need.
Yeah, we went back and forth in this one a little bit too, but I think after what we saw happen to Joe Burrow, I think hopefully the Bengals brass finally learns their lesson and invests in that offensive line. But at number 6 for Miami, we've been on this for a while now. If Chase is on the board at number 6, then that's probably what Miami's going to do. I'm okay with it. I personally have Devonta Smith a little bit higher than him, but Jamar Chase, as we all know, is an incredible talent. He was the best wide receiver on an LSU team that featured Justin Jefferson, who we all just saw put up record numbers as a rookie. So, get another weapon for Tua, pair him up with Will Fuller and Devontae Parker, and that's a halfway decent supporting cast. But going on to number 7 with Detroit.
For number 7, we went with Devonta Smith because Detroit is kind of hard to project because they have tons of needs and a new coaching staff, a new quarterback, but obviously they believe Jared Goff is at least a competent quarterback, we think. So and they lost Galladay, they lost Marvin Jones, so you might as well pick the best receiver on the board and a very talented receiver.
Yeah, I don't see Devonta Smith actually falling that far. I think the weight concerns are a little bit overblown. He's definitely one of in my opinion, the most talented wide receiver in this draft. I love his game. But moving on to our first big move of the day, we'll call it that. You can see we have the Patriots trading up with the Panthers, giving up 8, 15, and excuse me, not 8 and 15, 15, 46, and likely more, probably some 2022 compensation, to pick none other than Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. My quarterback, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it. I believe he's on the same level as Lawrence. He's on the same tier. And Justin Fields, as a Patriot, is going to give me nightmares for a long, long time. I pray this doesn't happen. I pray some team moves up to number 4 with the Falcons and, taking Fields from the Patriots, maybe the Broncos, but I don't see that happening. But Patriots fans should be ecstatic if this happens. But so yeah, Panthers move back, Patriots take Fields. Going on to Denver at number 9.
Yeah, so obviously if we were doing a personal mock draft, I think both of us would have had Justin Fields going to New York, but New York fell in love with Zach Wilson. But anyways, number 9, we project Micah Parsons. He's the top linebacker in the draft, and while Denver's defense is really good, he could really glue that whole defense together with just being a great middle linebacker for the next decade.
Yeah, I love Parsons. I'm a little concerned with all the character stuff, like the hazing stuff in the bathroom was all a little bit weird to me. But I don't see NFL teams really being too worried about that. All they care about is the product that he puts on the field, and it's a pretty damn good product. At number 10, the Cowboys, as we all know, they desperately need defensive help, and you got the choice between the top 3 corners in the draft. I think old Jerry is going to go with the flashiest pick here and pick Patrick Surtain II, cornerback out of Alabama. I have Horn a little bit higher on the board, but I believe the Cowboys really like Surtain. I believe he would be a good fit in the defense. He'll be solid for a long time. And, it might be Horn, it might be Farley, hell, it might even be Greg Newsome or something like that. But Jerry's probably going to go on the defensive side of the ball here if I had to guess.
I also have J.C. Horn as my first quarterback, and that would be my pick. But from everything we've seen, it appears Patrick Surtain is the Cowboys guy. So 11, we have our projected trade. As most people woke up to this morning, was a deleted tweet from the Chargers Twitter account that said they were trading up from 13 to 11, and I don't think that was an accident they tweeted that. I don't think they were supposed to tweet it at the time, but I don't think it was an accident. They had that graphic prepared. So we're projecting that trade still happens, and the Chargers are going up to get Rashawn Slater and give Justin Herbert an incredible tackle for the next decade.
Yeah, I don't believe that tweet was an accident either. And Alec and I were talking about it, who would they trade up for? And we were definitely both in agreement that it was probably for Slater. At number 12, Eagles for the second straight year are going wide receiver, and they're picking the Bama product, Jalen Waddle. So that means 3 receivers going in the top 12. I think this year's top 3 receivers are better than last year's, in all honesty. Waddle's probably been projected the Eagles pick for a long time. It's either him or J.C. Horn at this spot, in all honesty. But I think Waddle fits well in that defense. I think Hurts will really like him. I believe they were on the same team at Alabama at one point. But definitely an upgrade over Rager. I don't know what they were thinking last year, picking him over Jefferson. But get a new weapon, and next round probably get some defensive help. But moving on to 13 with the Giants.
So the Giants trade back just 2 spots. They get draft capital, and they also get, I don't think he's as good as Rashawn Slater, but Christian Darrisaw is definitely not a bad pick. It's not, I wouldn't even consider it a consolation prize, and he could be a really good tackle as well. So the Giants trade back 2 spots and get a really good tackle.
All right. I agree. I think I don't think Darrisaw has like the star potential, like the superstar potential that Benigel or Sean Slater has, but I believe he'll be a solid tackle for a long time. I don't see, of course, any player can bust, but if I'm really confident in any of these tackles to not bust, it's probably Darrisaw. Moving on to 14, as the splash moves down a little bit, we have another trade. So the Washington football team moves up to 14 in order to take quarterback Mac Jones out of Alabama.
Alex is going to love this.
Yeah, Alex is going to definitely love this. But Alec and I, we got to this pick and we were like, it's either AVT or a trade down. And there's probably at some point either Washington or the Bears are going to give up a haul to move up to 14. So we decided on Washington. Mac Jones is the pick here, meaning Vikings move down to 19. Washington does keep their second, so they do get another pick in here. But we move on to the Panthers, who traded down from 8 to 15 to the Patriots slot.
So we project the Panthers got a haul for the Patriots to come up and get Justin Fields, and the Panthers they have tons of needs, but I think their secondary needs the most work. And Justin and I were both surprised that we still had J.C. Horn on the board, and I think that's what the Panthers would do at this pick. And I don't think this would make Cardinal fans extremely unhappy if J.C. Horn went 1 pick before then.
I agree. That's definitely unfortunate for Cardinals fans. J.C. Horn's either going 10 to Dallas or maybe 12 to Philadelphia. But if he gets past that, it would be a bit of a surprise. But this is how the board fell out here. Moving on to the Cardinals, this is a bit of an out there pick. But when we were looking through the board, we didn't really see any picks that we liked to the Cardinals. So we decided that they need to address their secondary. And the best corner available, according to most people, would be Caleb Farley. But we decided that, with all the injury issues and whatnot, there are probably going to be some teams that are wary of that. So we decided that the Cardinals are going to take Greg Newsome, corner out of Northwestern at number 16. So a bit of a surprise pick, but, we always see a couple of surprises here and there. But we considered Najee Harris, we considered JOK, but we didn't really like either of those picks. So we ended up on Greg Newsome at 16. So if you move down to Raiders at 17.
Moving on to Vegas, we believe the Raiders will pick JOK. He's the best linebacker available, and the Raiders desperately need more speed, more versatility in the middle of their defense, and Gruden and Mayock apparently are obsessed with speed, versatility. So JOK on paper looks like a great fit. We'll see if it works out. I'm not that high on JOK as teams might be, or the big board might suggest, but it's not a bad pick at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably the pick there if he's available. I like that fit. They definitely need defensive talent. It's just a question of whether or not he develops because, Raiders have been trying to fix that defense for God knows how long now, and it's still not working out. But we get to Miami's second first-round pick at number 18, and scouring Dolphins Twitter, Dolphins news, all that, the consensus seems to be it's going to be an edge rusher at 18, if not Najee Harris. So we were looking through the edge rushers. There's Aziz, there's Rousseau, there's Pay. You can really pick about just about anybody at that spot. But I believe the Miami Dolphins are going to take a flyer on Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami. A lot of guys edge rusher one. You have the injury concerns. I'm one of those people. Like retiring from football in college is definitely a red flag for me, but I'm not denying he's a very talented player. Hopefully he makes me eat my words, especially if he ends up in Miami. But Miami definitely needs another edge rusher to complement Emmanuel Agba, who's going into the final year of his deal. And if not an edge rusher, it's probably Najee Harris, but I believe, a lot of people are saying edge for Miami at 18, and I believe him. Moving on to the Vikings, who traded down from 14, and this is probably the best case scenario for them.
So the Vikings, when we were looking at the big board, we didn't really feel like the Vikings had a glaring, we felt like the Vikings didn't have a glaring, an obvious pick at 14 that wasn't a bit of a reach, but moving down to 19, they get AVT, and that should be an incredible pick because their offensive line is average at best, and he is one of the best, if not the best, interior lineman in the draft, and can help protect Kirk Cousins, can help Dalvin Cook stay on the field, and can just make that offense much, much better.
I agree. When I AVT probably would have been the pick at 14 for me, even if they hadn't traded down. So, being able to trade down, get some extra draft capital, and still be able to draft their guy, that's a pretty good deal for them. So moving on to number 20, I see a very similar story here to a few years ago with Chicago. They drafted a guy named Kyle Fuller around this area, developed into a really good corner. But he did leave this past year for the Denver Broncos, so I think they're going to get his replacement here and end up drafting Caleb Farley, corner out of Virginia Tech. You have the injury concerns, but there's no denying his talent. He's cornerback 3 for me, but I believe in Chicago he'll be a good piece on that defense. We considered quarterback here. We considered both Mond and Davis Mills, but I don't think either of them are going to go in the first 2 rounds, except for maybe Mills. But definitely not going quarterback here at number 20 with all 5 of the top guys off the board. But as for Indianapolis at 21.
Indianapolis, we with Costanzo retiring, there is now a big glaring hole on their elite offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And to keep it that way, Justin and I believe they'll pick Tevin Jenkins. He's extremely versatile. He can develop into a really good tackle, but if for some reason they need him to play guard, he can. He's played guard at points in his career, and he's just an overall really good tackle / guard. He can play both positions, and the coach should be thrilled that he's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see him. If the Raiders don't pick JOK at 17, they might take him there. I could also see him going to Jets at 23 or the Ravens at 27. There's a lot of places he could go. But very, very good offensive tackle. A lot of people call him the most violent man in college football, so that's a interesting way to put it. But going on to number 22 with the Titans, Alec and I, we instantly agreed they're going edge rusher here. It has to be. And we decided that they are going to pick the guy out of Michigan, Kwity Paye. I've seen a lot of people being really up and down on Paye. Either they really like him or they don't really like him that much. I'm somewhere in the middle. I believe I have him at edge 2 at the moment. I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he's a little bit raw, but given time in that Tennessee defense, they desperately need defensive help, and adding him to complement Bud Dupree will definitely be helpful. And hopefully they can, make a run back into the postseason. But as we move on to the Jets, second first-round pick at 23.
Also at Kwity Paye, I also have him as my edge 2. During the college football season, I actually had him at edge 1, and then Jalen Phillips has actually moved up my board recently. We'll get to him soon. I think he is probably the most talented edge rusher. But anyways, moving on to the Jets, they have tons of holes. They have a hole at running back. They could use another receiver. They have defensive holes. But Justin and I, we went back and forth on this as well between Etienne and Najee Harris, but we think they'll pick Najee Harris. I think they'll see he's the better running back, which I believe he is, and they won't have to rely on 75-year-old Frank Gore to get 2 yards per run, and they get a really good running back at least for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, Fields to the Patriots, Najee Harris to the Jets is not ideal for me as a Dolphins fan. That those two would definitely torch AFC's defenses for a long time. Maybe not Najee for a long time. He's a little bit older and has a little bit more wear, but he is a very, very talented guy. He's my running back 1 easily. But speaking of running backs, we go on to Pittsburgh at 24. We agreed that with James Conner leaving, Pittsburgh is probably going to take whichever running back that New York doesn't, assuming that New York does take a running back like they did here. So between Najee and Etienne, who a lot of people see as running backs 1 and 2 in this class, I personally have Javonte Williams at running back 2, but I don't think NFL teams are going to see it that way. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will go Travis Etienne here to fill the hole that James Conner just left and get that rushing offense a little bit back more on track. We go on to 25 with the Jaguars' second first-round pick.
Jacksonville, they have, just like the Jets with their second first-round pick, they have tons of holes they have to fill. That's what happens when you're the worst team in the NFL. They got Trevor Lawrence, obviously. They can go a lot of different directions here, but Justin and I, we decide on Trevor Moehrig. We think he's the top safety in the class. He can be an elite safety, and he can man the back end of Jacksonville's horrific secondary for years to come.
Yeah, I was looking at Jacksonville's roster not too long ago, and they have no safeties back there. I believe probably their best safety is like Andrew Wingard or something like that. So this is a definite need for them. I know Mike on the app loves Richie Grant, and we consider that too. But I believe Richie Grant is my safety 2, but Moehrig is safety 1. So, you could go wide receiver here and get Grant in round 2 at 33. But we decided that they wanted to hop on Moehrig before anybody else had a chance to get him and, shore up that secondary a little bit. But moving on to 26 with the Browns, Alec and I, we both instantly agreed it's going to be defense, probably an edge rusher. And this is probably the pick we spent the least amount of time debating, aside from Lawrence and Wilson at 1 and 2. Azeez Ojulari, edge out of Georgia, is either him or maybe like Osai or Owe or Rousseau. But we decided that Ojulari probably fits that defense a little bit better. We know Fifth and Goal on the app loves Azeez. And I believe if Azeez is there at 26, the Browns are probably slamming the table to get him. And, get another fearsome pass rusher to pair with Myles Garrett, shore up that defense a little bit, and, hopefully keep that offense on the field a little bit longer. But go to 27 with the Ravens, first of 2 first-round picks. Well, as of right now.
Before I get to the Ravens pick, with the Azeez pick, part of me, well, that would be a great pick for Cleveland, but part of me, or all of me actually, praise Azeez, Paye, and Phillips are all gone by the Browns pick, so they're just not left with any edge rusher to pick. Anyways, pick 27, the Ravens, obviously my favorite team. There's tons of guys they could pick here. They could go edge. They could go interior offensive line. They could try to they can pick an offensive tackle still. But if I'm Eric DeCosta, I will be running to submit this pick if Rashad Bateman's still there. He is my wide receiver 4, and I think while the gap between whoever your wide receiver 3 would be and your wide receiver 4, which is Bateman, in my opinion, I think the gap between Bateman and wide receiver 5 is also very large as well. So the Ravens need a physical receiver. They need a big receiver. They need a receiver that can just catch the ball, a receiver that can just make plays, and that would be Rashad Bateman, and I would be extremely happy.
Yeah, I agree. Rashad Bateman should most definitely be everybody's wide receiver 4. I definitely see him probably going a little bit earlier than this on draft day. I wouldn't be surprised if, Packers trade up for him, maybe up to 21 or 22, now and before anybody else can. But he's a very talented wide receiver. Would not be surprised if he ends up better than Waddle, especially early on, and especially if he goes to a more talented and open offense such as Baltimore's or Green Bay's. But if we move on to the 28th pick, we get to one of my favorite prospects in the whole entire draft, Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. And I actually believe he's going to go a lot earlier than this, but with how the board shook out while we were making this mock, this is easily the pick here. If the Saints have him available at 28, they should be banging the table to go get him. Zaven Collins, in my opinion, might be a top 10 talent in this draft. He doesn't do anything particularly elite. He doesn't have otherworldly pass coverage skills or rushing passer skills, but he's got incredible instincts. And he's going to be a tackle machine at the next level. I believe he'll be consistently racking up over 100 tackles a season. And the Saints would love to have him shore up that defense for years to come. But if we go on to pick number 29 with the Packers.
The Packers, they don't have tons of needs on their team. They have a weakness in the secondary, and they have a weakness, obviously, at receiver across from Davante Adams. So while they could be upset Bateman didn't last to them, there's still great options on the board. They could pick Marshall. They could pick Brown. They could pick Elijah Moore. But Justin, I think Kadarius Toney would be the best fit in Green Bay, a speedy, shifty receiver opposite of Davante Adams. Hopefully he can take double teams away. He can operate in space. And maybe shift some of the attention defenses give to Davante Adams and make Davante Adams even better while just making Green Bay's offense that much better as well.
Yeah, this was like another pick where we were kind of debating are the Packers going to do the right thing and address their receiver need? But because as we all know, Packers kind of just tend to do whatever the hell they want to come draft time, not necessarily drafting for need, more likely best player available. But I believe Toney is a talented player. I have Marshall ranked a little bit higher, but I think Toney is probably a better fit in this offense for A-Rod. But if we move on to pick 30 with the Buffalo Bills, this is another very wild card pick. We weren't really sure what to do here. We were debating a long time, and we decided that with the rumblings that the Eagles are considering Christian Barmore up at 12 of all things. We decided that NFL teams probably have him valued a little higher than the media does. So we decided that Christian Barmore, interior defensive lineman out of Alabama, going to the Bills at 30, put him next to Ed Oliver, who's been a little bit underwhelming to begin his career. But pick up that pass rush. The Bills defense struggled in the postseason mightily, and it definitely showed against the Chiefs. They need some more defensive help. Put that offense back on the field with Josh Allen and rush the passer a little bit more, hopefully try to make another playoff run. But we have our final trade at the first round here at 31.
So the Ravens, as all of you should know, acquired this pick from Kansas City 2 days ago now, or 3. I forget, the days run in circles. But anyways, the Ravens, I believe some people think the Ravens want to package their 2 first-round picks to trade up. I think that's ridiculous. I'd love to argue with Bucky Brooks on this for his outrageous comments of letting
What did Brooks
Lamar
say?
graduate. He said the Ravens should let Lamar graduate so they don't have to pay him an extension and then draft Fields or Lance. I forget which one it was.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You don't trade away a guy who just won an MVP.
I love Justin Fields, but I wouldn't trade Lamar for the world. So anyways, the Ravens are looking to move back, I believe, with this pick, and the Panthers, who are at pick 39, come up. They see there's a tackle falling in Samuel Cosmi. I forget which one I forget how you pronounce his name, but I think the Panthers come up, take him, and get a formidable offensive tackle duo between him and Taylor Moton, yeah, who they just franchised and would like to have for a long time as well.
So as we get to our final pick in the first round, we have the Buccaneers at 32. This is a really weird pick because, the Buccaneers, they basically have a super team down there. There's not really a glaring hole other than, I'd say, maybe the defensive line, where you have a lot of aging vets in JPP and Sue. So we decided that they're going to address that and take the incredibly raw talent out of Miami in Gregory Rousseau. He's my edge 3 or 4. I can't exactly remember. But, he's got incredible length, incredible bend at that height. It's like 6'7", 265, I think. And, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to develop. But, that's why you've got JPP and Sue there to, teach him a little bit, get him, acclimated to the speed of the NFL game. But yeah, that's our final pick for the first round, and we will move on to round 2 in a second. But first, I want to give a shout out to something that's going on over on the uSTADIUM app. So we're doing a big mock draft giveaway over on the uSTADIUM app. So head over to the App Store, the Google Play Store, whatever you use. Head to the app, click the banner on the breaking news ticker on the top that says Mega Mock Draft, and enter your email. We will send you a link to enter. You can win a new PS5, an Xbox One. Xbox Series X. The Xbox One came out God knows how long ago. If you win the grand prize, second place, get a jersey of your team's first round pick. Third to fifth place, get one of your team's draft caps. So, head on over to the App Store, download the uSTADIUM app, enter the contest, and hopefully win one of the big prizes. I've entered. I believe Alec has entered as well. I'm hoping to win a Jamar Chase jersey or a Kyle Pitts jersey. I don't really need a PS5 until the new college football game comes out in 2023. So, I'm kind of shooting for second place. But, obviously I want to complain about a PS5.
I've also entered. I haven't actually filled mine out yet because I'll probably overthink it up until 7:30 on Thursday evening. But I would also, if I come in second place, I hope that jersey will have Morig on the back of it or Bateman on the back of it, and I'd be thrilled that I was able to come in second and that the Ravens drafted one of the 2 guys that I badly want them to pick.
Yeah, and I remember I really rushed mine, and I think I have to. I hope you can go back and change it, because I'm pretty sure I forgot Rashad Bateman in the first round. I think I had like Tony going now like 23 or something like that, and just I know damn well I miss some guys. But why don't we keep on going and head on to the second round? Before Alec announces pick 33, I also want to say, anybody who's watching, feel free to put your questions in the chat after we're done with all of this. We'll have a little bit more discussion, maybe like some guys who think are going to go higher or lower than they're supposed to be. But we will also answer any questions that you guys may have. So, what do you think of this player? Where do you think this player is going to go? You want us to compare 2 players? You want us to talk some draft history? Whatever you guys really want. So Put your questions in the chat. We'll answer them at the end. Alec, go ahead and move on. Pick 33, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Awesome. So we're starting day 2, round 2 here, and I don't know about you guys, but day 2 is always my favorite day of the draft because yes, round 1's fine. Round 1's exciting. We all love round 1. It's the first day of the draft. There's great players. You want your team to make a great choice, but there's still great players in round 2 and 3. And if you look back throughout almost every single draft, you will see your team is built. Your depth is built on day 3. Your stars are most likely found in day 1, but your team is built in day 2. Exactly. And that is no exception here. There's tons of great guys that could easily be first round picks. The top of round 2 is basically an extension of round 1. You're getting round 1 guys at the top, but we weren't really expecting the top of round 2 to be this difficult in deciding who to pick. So anyways, Jacksonville, we realized they went Trevor Lawrence, and then I forget who
they went defense. Moerig.
Moerig. They need secondary help badly, but they need to go back to offense here. There's a misconception going around that Trevor Lawrence is entering a horrible situation in Jacksonville, which makes no sense. I don't know where it came from that Jacksonville doesn't have any talent. They have James Robinson, who's coming off just an incredible season as an undrafted rookie. They have 3 really good receivers, in my opinion. Chark, they just signed Marvin Jones, and they have Splash's favorite receiver, Chenault, coming off his not great, but really solid rookie year. So no, they don't need Trevor Lawrence isn't entering a horrible situation with his weapons. But for that reason, we don't have them picking a receiver at the top of round 2, but we have them picking the top tight end available in Pat Freiermuth. Their tight ends are not good in any means, and Pat Freiermuth is, people always say a tight end is a quarterback security blanket, especially for a young quarterback or a rookie. That is extremely important, and Lawrence and Pat Freiermuth can develop a great connection from day 1 in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we considered offensive line here, but we actually took a look at Jacksonville's offensive line. It's not terrible. Obviously, they're probably going to build that more on day 2. You want to get another starter to, fill up a tackle position, or maybe I think they need a new center. I'm not entirely sure though. But offensive line isn't the biggest need for Jacksonville here. I think that's another misconception. Their biggest needs, of course, quarterback, safety, tight end. Those are where their 3 biggest holes are, and they fill them all right here in the top 33. But if we move on to 34 with the Jets next pick, we have Creed Humphrey, interior offensive lineman out of Oklahoma, and this is another one of my favorite prospects here. I believe if the Packers don't go wide receiver, he's going to go there. But obviously, we picked Tony to the Packers, so the Jets get their next great center in Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey is just an athletic freak. I believe he had a perfect relative athletic score I think it was a 10 out of 10. But like I said, one of my favorite prospects in the draft. He's going to shore up that center position for a decade minimum. And Jets fans should be very happy that they have an absolute mauler for Najee Harris to run behind here at 34. But if we move on to 35, was another tough pick in Atlanta.
But before we get to Atlanta, I also just want to comment on Creed Humphrey. He's clearly the best center in the draft. It's not a bad center class, but he looks like the cream of the crop. If the Ravens do not move out from 31, I would like Creed Humphrey there, because obviously we have a huge hole now at center. Well, we also have a huge hole at right tackle now as well. But I mean, if you watch the Ravens-Bills playoff game, you saw that our center sucked. Our center had a horrible snap, almost got Lamar killed, and we lost the game because
that center is now in Miami. Thanks.
He's not that bad. Wait, no. So you guys signed Makari, right?
No,
Or
Skura.
was it Makari? Oh, it was Skura. I think it was Makari that actually started that playoff game, but Skura
Oh, really?
also. It was in the
Yes.
middle of the season. I forget what game Skura
I think it was the
sent.
Patriots game, right?
It
Did they
might have
play the
been,
Patriots?
yeah. In the monsoon, a game that I don't
Yeah.
know how they lost, but Skura had horrible snaps, and then
Mm,
for it was so I've never seen Ravens fans act this hostile. It was embarrassing. They sent
yeah.
it was really embarrassing to me. They sent poor death threats to Skura's wife and to him,
Oh
which
God.
is completely horrible to do, especially after just a pointless regular season game. But yeah, they're
Splash.
both of them are not good. Splash just said his cat can snap the ball better. So I'll be
Oh
disappointed if
man.
Creed Humphrey isn't there. But anyways, moving on to the Falcons pick. The Falcons secondary is really bad. They drafted a corner last year in the first round who they probably had no business taking.
Yeah.
And they lost Keanu Neal in free agency to Dallas a couple weeks ago, and there's great safeties left. I think this safety class is actually really, really great, really deep. And Justin and I predict that Richie Grant would be the pick at 35. A lot of people love Richie Grant. I get it. He had a great Senior Bowl. He flashes great. He looks like a great playmaker. I actually don't have Richie Grant as my second safety. Um, I think it's Jamar Johnson actually, but Richie
Mhm.
Grant should be an unbelievable player and will help Atlanta's secondary from day one.
Yeah. I don't have Grant as my second safety either. I actually have Andre Cisco out of Syracuse as my safety too. But like we established at the beginning, this is a more predictive mock than what we would do. And I like Richie Grant. I believe he's my safety three. Um, like I said earlier, I know Mike on the app loves him. I'm sorry, Mike. But I think he'll be a good replacement for Keanu Neal. I think he'll be better than Keanu Neal, hopefully. And Atlanta's in a really tough spot. Like I remember reading that they really wanted CJ Henderson last year, and they tried to jump Jacksonville for him, but Miami and Los Angeles wouldn't move, and none of the teams under them would either. So they were like, our next best option is to trade up with the Giants at 4, and CJ Henderson was definitely not worth the top 4 pick. So the Atlanta way is to settle for less, but that's not what they're doing here. Richie Grant is a pretty good football player to have. But at 36, we have my favorite team again, the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins desperately need a running back. They haven't had a good one since Jay Ajayi. And, Myles Gaskin is good. I like him. Savon Ahmed is pretty good. I like him too. But, they're both backup options or complementary options, to put it on third down in receiving situations. Um, the Dolphins know this. They've been speaking with all the top running backs multiple times. And I think if Javonte Williams out of UNC is there at 36, the Dolphins are going to send it in. Williams is my running back too. I love his burst. I love his vision. He's got power as well. I think he's better than ETN. I think he brings a little bit more to the table than ETN does. But I would love to have this guy in Miami and have him complement Gaskin. I think that's a really good 1-2 punch. Have Javonte in for the bruising, have Gaskin in for the receiving situations, and just shore up that rushing offense that Ryan Fitzpatrick led 2 years ago.
Moving on to Philadelphia. But I'd also like to comment on the Miami pick. That would be a great pick for Miami. It can be his Miami's number one running back for a while. As Justin said, Myles Gaskin isn't really that good, even though fantasy football truthers might tell you a different story. But moving on, the 37, the Eagles secondary is a mess. They need a corner badly. And while Asante Samuel would be a great pick here, as Taylor mentioned in the chat, that is not who we went with. We went with the long, lengthy, and athletic corner from Kentucky, Kelvin Joseph. I think he is probably regarded as a better corner on draft boards. And in my opinion, rightfully so. I think Asante Samuel could be a really good outside corner, but I still see him as a slot corner where he could be a lead at. Kelvin Joseph should be able to start, if not day one on the outside. He would be able to start at least very short soon into next season, and the Eagles get a great upgrade in their secondary.
Oh man, Basky, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We know some team's gonna do it. It just happened to be Washington. I'm so sorry. But moving on to 38. We've all seen the narratives. You know, Joe Burrow wants his former LSU teammate. Joe Burrow wants Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow wants rebuild 2019 LSU in Cincinnati. Shut up, please. I hate that. I hate that like Joe Burrow's like, I'm banging the table for Jamar Chase. If Joe Burrow is smart, he wants his legs to, be okay. But if Joe Burrow wants to rebuild 2019 LSU, he can take Terrace Marshall Jr. in the second round, or the Bengals can do that. So Terrace Marshall Jr., my wide receiver 5, I believe the Bengals should do. Draft Steele at 5, get that wide receiver at 38. And if Marshall is there, I think that should instantly be the pick. Maybe a slot guy, because you've got great boundary receivers in Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, who was not as bad as people like to say he was last year. But Marshall, I believe, played a lot of his snaps from the slot. I think it was about 60% last year in a very weird LSU offense. But yeah, I think the two narratives are we need to protect Joe Burrow and we need to rebuild 2019 LSU. I think you can do both. Take Marshall at 38, take Sewell at 5, and you've got a solid supported cast for Joe Burrow, who hopefully won't die again. And while I'm talking about the Bengals, if you take an offensive lineman in round 1, take a wide receiver in round 2, but then take offensive lineman again in rounds 3 and 4. This is a very deep offensive lineman class. I don't care about, this wide receivers class is, wait, no, I got that wrong. People say like, oh, this offensive line class is so deep. Yeah, get your star in round 1, then get more depth guys in round 3 and 4. You can get maybe say Aaron Banks in round 3, another guy in round 4, like maybe Kramer or David Moore out of Grambling. Burrow needs protection if you want to go somewhere. So I believe take offensive lineman in round 1, take wide receiver in round 2, then just build that offensive line as much as you can. But if we go to 39 with the Ravens pick that they got from the Chiefs and then gave to the Panthers in our trade down.
So here we are again, my favorite team. So we've addressed the wide receiver issue. Now we need to address either the offensive line issue or the edge issue. And Joseph Asai has fallen to 39. And that would be, I would also bang the table and run to cement that pick if he's also there. I forget exactly, he might be my edge 4 or 5, but he arguably could be a late first round pick. The Ravens could even consider him at 27 or 31. So to trade back and still get him, he would be an immediate upgrade and could realistically start early in the season across from Tyus Bowser or even Justin Houston. So yeah, Joseph Asai is our pick here. Great, in my opinion, great value.
I love Asai as well.
If you were following the U mock draft that Justin actually hosted and did an amazing job with, Osai actually fell to 58 to me for the Ravens' original second round pick way before the Orlando Brown trade, and I was thrilled with him there. I'd be thrilled with him at 39.
Yeah, Osai is also my edge 5. I believe he's an outstanding run defender. I didn't see much wrong with his tape other than the fact that he got absolutely mauled by Tevin Jenkins. That was hard to watch, but I love Osai. I think he'll be a great run defender at the next level. He's got really good instincts. Very aggressive tackler. I mentioned that on episode 1 with Splash. But yeah, I think he'll be a great fit in that Ravens defense, and hopefully assisting you guys in taking down King Henry once again if that happens.
We don't.
Um,
Derrick Henry's below us now. Bishop Henry, as I like to call him.
Bishop.
40 yards and talking all that crap. Got absolutely locked down. Not a peep from Titans fans anymore about Derrick Henry. But so I'm going to cover pick 40 because pick 40, we had the Cowboys trade up a couple spots because this player is falling. I think he'll go much higher. He could even go in round 1. And this player happens to be, if not my favorite player in the draft, definitely one of my favorites, and that's Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky. I just love him. He's my linebacker. He's my second linebacker behind Micah Parsons. He is explosive. He is athletic. He can run sideline to sideline. He can make tackles. He can improve in coverage a little bit, and he should be able to. But the Cowboys desperately lack explosiveness in the middle of their defense, and Davis can provide it. Leighton Vander Esch isn't that athletic, and he's always injured. Sean Lee, who just retired. Jalen Smith has regressed the last couple of years. It's been weird. The linebacker is a huge hole for Dallas, and if they get Davis, they shouldn't have to worry for a long time about having an explosive linebacker.
Yeah, we got to the Broncos at 40, and we didn't really like any of the fits. So we noticed Jamin Davis is falling. We're like, hey, let's find a team that, a linebacker needy team that needs to jump up. And we saw the Cowboys just sitting there at 44 a few picks later. Like Alex said, I think Jamin Davis might go round 1 as well. He's been shooting up draft boards. I believe he was 25 on this draft board. But that's a great pick for Dallas, give up maybe a mid-round pick next year to move up and get him. But if we move on to 41 with the Lions next pick, the Lions kind of had their roster teared down once again, entering another rebuild. So you got your quarterback, Jared Goff, you got your running back in DeAndre Swift, you got your new wide receiver in Devontae Smith. You've got a pretty solid offensive line. You got some solid pieces on there. So what they really need is defensive help, especially in the NFC North when you've got guys like Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook, tearing up guys. So we decided that at 41, Dallas should go with some people's interior defensive lineman 1 in Levi Onwuzurike. I'm definitely not saying that right. I apologize to Levi. But, another guy who might go first round. Some people have him above Barmore. I think he's solid. He's not going to stand out, early in his career, but I think he'll be a good piece on this Detroit defense for a while they, rebuild that pass rush, rebuild that defense. And, hopefully, I love Dan Campbell. I believe Dan Campbell is probably tied with Robert Saleh as my favorite coaching hire this year. He was great in Miami. He was great in New Orleans with what he did. And it's pretty good pick. I like it. So if we move on to 42 with the Giants first round pick. So the Giants are in a bit of a lull here. I personally think they should be aggressive in the first round and trade up and try and get a quarterback like Justin Fields maybe. I don't think that'll happen. As we all know, Gettleman is a bum. But they signed Galladay, and but they need a slot receiver. So they need more explosiveness on offense to, give Denny Dimes a new safety valve underneath. And we decided that should be one of the more players, either Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore out of Purdue. We debated over it for a while, but we did eventually settled on Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. He's like 5'8", maybe something like that, 5'7", but he ran I believe a 4.29 or somewhere in that range at his pro day. Blazing speed, height's a concern, but you're mostly going to use him as a slot and probably on jet sweeps. Add a little bit of gimmicks to the offense, throw teams off. But we considered defense here, we considered offensive line, but they got Darrisaw in round 1. So pick Rondale Moore, give Danny Dimes another weapon, and hopefully he takes that next step. I don't think he will. they're probably going to be quarterback hunting next year. But Rondale Moore will probably be a good piece for a long time. But if we move on to 43 with the 49ers.
So for the 49ers, it wasn't too hard to figure out at least what position. We decided to go corner. We think the 49ers desperately, well, not desperately, but they could really use another corner. We don't know if Richard Sherman is coming back at all. We have no idea what he's up to. Jason Verrett, while he had an incredible season last year, I don't know if you can trust him next year to repeat that, or hell, even to stay healthy for a year or back-to-back years. That would be actually pretty spectacular if he managed to do that.
Especially in the 49ers, who cursed with the injury bug.
We'll blame MetLife Stadium for that. So anyways, we're going with Asante Samuel here. There's Asante Samuel Jr. We don't want to discredit Asante Samuel, who ruined the Patriots' undefeated season. So anyways, Asante Samuel Jr., like I said, I still think he is more of a slot guy, but he can project outside well. He could be a good outside corner. There's great corners left, so this was hard, but I think Asante Samuel Jr. would be an incredible pick for San Francisco. And their defensive line is great. Their linebackers are great as long as all of them are healthy. They need to shore up their secondary again, and Asante Samuel Jr. should help that immediately.
Yeah, definitely. I like Samuel. I actually saw some clips today of him back in, I believe, high school, matching up with Devontae Smith and, there was another guy Jerry Jeudy. They were at the rival series together, and he shut down Devontae Smith, which I thought was really impressive. Jeudy kind of got him, but the bad throw, he was able to make a play, take advantage. I like Samuel. I like his fit in that defense. But if we move on to 44.
I actually, sorry to interrupt. I think Asante Samuel, I don't know why I remember this, but just I'm an avid high school recruiter. So Asante Samuel Jr., I'm 100%, 99.9% positive he went to St. Thomas Aquinas, which is one of the top programs in the country, and he's from South Florida. Jerry Jeudy's from South Florida, so it's just a little nugget. I remember watching something I remember watching a St. Thomas highlight one time and seeing Asante Samuel. I probably shouldn't
an
know.
NFL player.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't know some of these high schools these players went to, but it's just I do.
Hey, interesting trivia nuggets to have. But if we go on to 44 with the Denver Broncos, who traded down from 40, this was like another. Broncos don't have any glaring needs per se. You don't point your finger at a position and say they need to draft a replacement there immediately. Other than me, I think they should draft a new quarterback. I hate Drew Lock. I think he's awful, and I think he's never going to be good. But as we all know, John Elway loves his tall white QBs with big arms. So Drew Lock is probably going to be around for another year or two. So I believe what they do here is get him a little bit of protection and draft Wyatt Davis, offensive lineman out of Ohio State. I like Davis. I think he's just, another very solid player. Barmore kind of bullied him in the national championship a little bit. He struggled, but, Barmore was having an absolute tear toward the end of the season there, so it's kind of understandable. But I think Davis will be a good fit here. Drew Lock will definitely be happy to have him while he overthrows his wide receivers by 10 yards into the arms of waiting safeties. But, you can never have too many offensive linemen, and I believe that's where Denver's going to go here.
All right, moving on to Jacksonville's fourth pick in the top 45. So they went. It's going to be hard for Jacksonville to mess up this draft. They would have to do something catastrophically bad to mess up their draft. And that wouldn't even be not taking Trevor Lawrence. They would have to really miss one of their second round picks, their other first round pick. It could be bad, but I believe in Jacksonville. This is their time to get back to their glory days of 2017 or 2016. Well,
yeah.
So okay, so so they got their quarterback. Obviously, they got their safety to help the secondary. They got a tight end to help Trevor Lawrence, but now you need offensive line help. So the best offensive lineman available, in my opinion, and Justin's, and I think someone who can just shore up an offensive line is Dylan Radins from North Dakota State. Yeah, small school, but played with Trey Lance and should project really well as a high quality offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm. All right, so if we go on to 46 with the Panthers, got a little bit of a bomb here. You know, this is the pick that they got from the Patriots in their trade down while the Patriots went to go get Justin Fields. Now the Panthers are going to get their own quarterback here. We've seen rumblings over the past few days that we're going to see Kellen Mond go round one. We're going to see David Mills goes round one. I don't think so. I don't even think it's a guarantee that Mac Jones goes top 20. So I don't think Mond or Mills even sniffs round one. But I think one of them does sniff round two. And I think it's going to be Davis Mills, quarterback out of Stanford, going to Carolina at 46. I like Mills better than Mond, just a little bit. I think Mond is probably the more arm talent guy. He's going to wow you a little bit more with his throws. But I think Mills is a very smart player. He's kind of like a diet Mac Jones. He's not really that mobile. He's not really going to make any crazy off balance improvisational throws. Excuse me, but he's smart. He's going to make smart plays and he's going to make good throws and he can be solid. I think if Darnold bombs, you've got a solid safety valve there in Davis Mills. I don't think he's going to be anything terribly special, but probably replaces Darnold at some point in the season. But if we go on to 47 with the Chargers,
for pick 47, the Chargers we had them trading up for Slater for pick 11, and they have to improve. They have to keep improving the offense for Justin Herbert, make sure he can succeed in any way possible, or to give him the best chance of succeeding. And for that, we have them picking Diami Brown, electric playmaking receiver from North Carolina. And while the Chargers have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Brown could even play in the slot a little bit. He's a huge playmaker, and he can electrify this offense and take it to another level, which would help Justin Herbert become probably an elite quarterback, in my opinion, top 8, possibly within the next couple of years, if he's not close to that already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking Elijah Moore for a minute, and then Diami Brown is a very good in a vertical-based offense, which the Chargers definitely run. So I believe that was definitely the better fit there. But if we go to 48 with the Raiders next pick, as we all know, the Raiders love their athletic freaks, especially on offense. But sometimes you find an athletic freak on defense, and I believe that is Jason Owe. The Raiders have tended to just not care at all about draft boards and just take whoever the hell they want. They love their speedy guys, and as we all saw, Jason Owe ran a 4.38 or something coming off the edge. That's pretty good for an edge guy. I think that's one of the best ever, actually. But 0 sacks, but great measurables. Seems like a Raider guy to me. If we move on to 49, the Cardinals.
Yeah, I apologize. We have to start speeding this up because we're running short on time and have to get to other things. But for the Cardinals, it appears we ruffled some feathers with them arguably reaching for Greg Newsome at pick 16 or 17. I forget the exact 16. Pick they have now, 16. But Cardinals, they do need offensive line help still. Their tackles aren't bad, but they really need to shore up the inside. And for that, we believe they'll pick Trey Smith, a really solid looking player from Tennessee, he looked like after his freshman year at Tennessee, he looked like he was a surefire first round pick in 2 years, and then believe he had injuries and then a heart issue, and his draft stock has tumbled because of that. But with the right coaching, if he can stay healthy, not have any medical issues, he could be honestly one of the steals and maybe one of the best interior offensive linemen in the draft.
Yeah. So if we move on to the Dolphins at 50, I believe they're going to pick a guy that they met with the Senior Bowl, and a guy that a lot of people fell in love with over the draft process, Quinn Miners, interior offensive lineman at a University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, I think D3 school. But he was just absolutely messing guys up at D3, and then he got to the Senior Bowl and he held his own against some of the best edge rushers in this class. So I believe, that connection, the Dolphins were at the Senior Bowl, they were coaching, he was on their team. I believe Brian Flores, wants to shore up that offensive line just a little bit more. They got 3 starters last year, but you get a 4th right here at 50.
For 51, we Washington, their front 4 is stacked. They should be better offensively, but their secondary still needs a little bit more work. So we believe they'll pick Jamar Johnson, who I mentioned earlier is my second safety. He is a really good center fielder, in my opinion. He just has an instinct for the ball. I think he could be a huge steal and really help shore up Washington's secondary.
All right. We got about 20 minutes left, and we got other things to go through. So do you guys just want me to speed run through these last couple of picks?
Yeah, we could. Okay. We can just announce it briefly.
All right. So 52, we got Jalen Mayfield. We considered Leatherwood, but Jalen Mayfield's been projected first round more than Leatherwood has. 53 to the Titans, we got Baron Browning. As we all know, they need a lot of defensive help. 54 to the Colts, we decided that they need a slot receiver, so we went Elijah Moore, somebody who's probably going to go a little bit higher than that. But 55, the Steelers steal an offensive lineman from both the Seahawks and Rams and take Landon Dickerson, excuse me. Injury prone, but very talented player. Seahawks, with, a lot of offensive line guys, going before them, they're going to take Tyson Campbell, corner out of Georgia, right? Yeah. So, excuse me. Start rebuilding that Legion of Boom a little bit, replace the loss of Shaquille Griffin. 57, the Rams get a little bit of, speed in the middle of defense, pick Nick Bolton. I don't know if he's a fast guy, but he's a very, very aggressive guy. I will say that. Chiefs at 58, they want all the offensive firepower in the world. So they're going to go with Michael Carter, the other running back out of UNC, who might be better than Javonte Williams, but who knows. 59, Browns need defense. I think they should go defense in the first 3 rounds, personally. And they're going to go linebacker here and pick Pete Werner, excuse me. Linebacker out of Ohio State. I believe Browning already went. Werner, some teams have a first-round grade on him. I was surprised to hear that. I like him. Probably not first round. But pick 60, Saints get another wide receiver that we considered we considered him on St. Brown, but we figured that Amari Rodgers fits their mold a little bit more. The Bills at 61, we decided that they should get a little bit more defensive help and pick Eric Stokes, get a speedy corner to pair with Tre'Davious White. 62, we decided the Packers needed a center replacement. So we considered Ben Cleveland out of Georgia to move over to center, but we eventually decided on the guy out of Ohio State, Josh Myers. I think that's a good plug-and-play pick. 63, we decided to, bolster that Chiefs defense a little bit more and pick a guy that some people think is going in the first round, in Joe Tryon. I think Tryon's pretty overrated, but, I think this is probably about where he goes. And then at 64, we decided that the Bucs are going to get their eventual Ndamukong Suh replacement And Alex and I both love this guy, Milton Williams, defensive tackle out of Louisiana Tech. Very, very talented guy. So yeah, that's our complete mock. 2 rounds. Yeah, it took a while to come up with. We had a little bit of mock time of 4.29. Just a little bit slower than my 40 time. I ran a 4.21 in high school. Actually, believe it or not, I was dusting people on the field. I could have made the league if it weren't for some knee issues. For being real here. But yes,
40 times don't matter. Word, John Ross.
True. But now that we're done with that, we got about 15 minutes left. So if you have any callers, you can go in and call in at 678-675-5118. Talk a little bit of draft stuff for the remainder of the time. But in the meantime, I'll look through the chat, see if there's any comments that we have. Niners update saying better not be Mac Jones at 3. Alec, are you rocking a goatee?
I mean, I guess it's kind of all over, but I guess the goatee's kind of noticeable. I don't think it looks bad. But yeah, thanks for noticing, Nelson.
Justin blinked twice to reinforce to do this. Yeah. Splash is holding me hostage. Please help. Eagles, picking number 12, Ertz, and whatever else for Fields 8. Oh.
No one wants Ertz.
I don't like that. I really don't like that. Why can't you just be happy with Ertz? I don't understand the Eagles' fascination with wanting another quarterback. You spend a second-round pick on Hurts this year to be your eventual Carson Wentz replacement if he bombed, and he did. So I don't understand. Were they trying to make him like a Taysom Hill replacement? Yeah, it's just. JC Horn, cornerback 1. I agree. I think very physical guy. I love his game. He shut down a lot of very talented guys in the SEC. I mean, Devontae Smith took him behind the woodshed and beat him to death. But, outside of that, I didn't really see a lot of bad tape from JC Horn.
Thinking about the Eagles, I actually don't mind it. You said overkill a little bit, but I feel like you could never go wrong with the philosophy with draft a quarterback until you get it right. It's what the Browns kind of did, and it took them 500 years to get it right, but they eventually did. But yeah, obviously we don't know how the Eagles internally feel about Jalen Hurts, but if they see one of their quarterbacks falling, possibly, or a quarterback they might want to get, it wouldn't shock me if they try to jump up and nab him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that philosophy. Kind of. I think you should give a quarterback 2 years, and I believe Hurts was okay enough to definitely earn himself another year. I mean, if Hurts bombs this year, then you can go quarterback hunting next year. I believe, I love Tua. I believe he's going to take that next step. But I believe if he doesn't take that next step forward and he regresses, then move on. You got to the Miami especially, they've got a playoff ready team. They just need a quarterback, and I believe Tua will be that guy. With a better supporting cast and better offensive coordinator. But if Tua's not the guy, I'm perfectly fine with moving on with him after another year. But like I said, I believe you should give a quarterback 2 years. But
also, the Eagles have 3 firsts, or projected 3 firsts next year. I forgot about that.
Yeah, true. We got Skulldog there asking, how did Vikings not get Washington second?
What was the trade?
It was.
We probably gave them their 3rd.
It was from 19 to 14, so I believe
that's not
moving up
huge.
5 spots in the middle of the round. Move up 5 spots, give up a 3rd, and probably a late round pick next year. I think that's enough. I don't think they would give up I don't think Washington would give up their 1st and their 2nd to move up just 5 spots. The Falcons should go Javon Holland. Maybe. Yeah. I like Javon Holland. I like
Yeah,
Richie Grant a little bit better. That's why we ended up deciding.
I probably have. I don't know. I love the safety class. I kind of have. I feel like I might have Cisco and Holland above Richie Grant,
Yeah.
and maybe John. Richie Grant might be my fifth safety. To be completely honest, I don't think he'll be bad, but yeah, I feel like teams might be much higher on Richie Grant. However, so we penciled him in there.
Yeah. What else do we got? Hope Jacksonville goes Seth Cooper, offensive tackle from West Virginia University. I
Needs
mean,
to bulk up a little bit more.
yeah, probably. Seth Cooper. Seth Cooper is a sleeper. I miss Seth Cooper, honestly. You know,
I don't.
like, like, yes, his posts were dumb, but they were funny. Alex was not happy with that Hall pick. Best round 3 player left.
Ooh, that's interesting. I think there was a lot of great players, and it will feel
Yeah,
like that. You won't really be able to think about it because round 2 goes straight into round 3. But so at the top of my head, Liam Eichenberg was still there. Amon-Ra
yes.
St. Brown was still there.
I think Amon-Ra goes round 2.
Yeah, great defensive tackles like Tyler Shelvin, Aleem McNeil.
Davion Nixon.
Yeah, there's a lot of great
Andre
players
Cisco still on the
and
board. I
Holland.
went through.
I don't think
And
we
Holland.
mocked Holland either. Yeah.
No, Cisco and
So
Holland both on the board. They would definitely go early 3. I
there's
love
some great
Cisco. I think
players.
he should be maybe even a late round 1 talent. He probably goes early 2 at most. But also, like Nick said, if you got to Melifonwu, another guy I love as well.
Also, don't forget Kellerman.
Kellen Mond too. Yeah, Kellen Mond probably goes early round 3 if I had to guess.
Apparently, Nick's favorite quarterback.
I go Mond and
Okay,
trade him
Nick,
for
when
5th.
I said I would go Mon over Wilson, I was obviously joking, but it was just to show that I'm just not a fan of Zach Wilson. But obviously, Zach Wilson is higher than Kellen Mond, and he
The
should be
Raiders
higher
draft
than
a
Kellen
special
Mond.
teamer. A guy I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders draft. The Dolphins took him in the UMOC. I'm gonna butcher this name. Kene Nwangu? I don't know, but he's a running back kick returner out of Iowa State. He didn't really get that many touches because you're sharing a backfield with Brees Hall, but a very electric guy. I think the Raiders would probably love because like I said earlier, they love their athletic freaks. But
Even if
that
they're
might
not that good.
yeah. Do the Seahawks draft a running back with all the picks? I mean, they should. They've been doing it for what
I
4 or
feel like
5 years now, and they
I feel
still
like
haven't
they
gotten it
draft a
right.
running back every year, and every year he's horrible. Like
Rashad Penny.
that was
That was
laughable.
so confusing.
It was so funny.
Okay, I want to know who's the round 4 or 5 guy who's going to go in the first round this year. Like your Terrell Edmonds or your Rashad Penny.
Tough
Like
Borland.
tough for. That's such a football name. I mean, you got 3, maybe 2, maybe 3 linebackers from Ohio State that are probably better than Tough Borland. But Splash and the producer Splash says Trey Sermon. Maybe. That one guy on the app had him going 25 to Jacksonville. I would laugh so hard if that happens. Like you said, they would need to do something catastrophic to mess up this draft. Picking Trey Sermon at 25 is doing something catastrophic.
I really think Trey Sermon, if he went back to school for one more year, he probably could have been a top round 2, at least round 3. If the Washington football team isn't blessed with Mack in round 1, what's the best OT available? I mean, it could be Tevin Jenkins. It probably would be Tevin Jenkins.
I'm gonna agree and say it's probably Tevin Jenkins. The only team I can really see taking Jenkins above 19 is the Raiders. Maybe the Dolphins at 18. But
that's what Splash said in the UMOC.
Yeah, and we'll climb him for it for not really a good reason. I said Raiders reaching it as usual, but that was really a joke. I think they probably should have taken JOK. But yeah, probably Tevin Jenkins. I don't see any other team other than Miami or Las Vegas really taking Jenkins in the first round. Maybe Cosme, but yeah,
He seems like a later, maybe a high
yeah.
round 2 or late first round.
I
Nick,
wouldn't
I
be surprised
actually
to see. Sorry.
agree. Oh, sorry. Nick, I actually agree with Baron Browning. I don't think he's worthy of, like, people have him going as early as like the first round, which is weird to me. Baron Browning, he was an incredibly high recruit. I'm almost positive he has a 5-star recruit, but really, he just didn't pop out on the screen when you were watching Ohio State games. Like
Mhm.
when you hear his name called, I mean, he possesses great traits, but he's just, I don't know. I literally didn't know he was being regarded as a day 2 pick at the latest until I started looking at boards, and I'm like, oh, Baron Browning. I wonder that's what happened to him, because like with these 5-star guys, I remember their names so vividly, and then sometimes they just fall off the edge. Like
Mhm.
Jalen Phillips, up until this year, I literally didn't know what happened to him. Jalen Phillips was a top player in the 2018 recruiting class, and he went to UCLA. He like fell off the earth and then just resurfaced in Miami. But Baron Browning's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, people must love their Ohio State linebackers. You got some teams have Baron Browning with a first round grade, other teams have Pete Werner with a first round grade. I don't agree with any of those takes. I think they're both pretty good players. Um, Justin Melendez asking favorite sleeper pick. What do you got?
Well, so I have 5 guys that I think are I wrote down 5 guys that I think are really underrated. And 4 of them weren't picked in this draft. My first one was Milton Williams. I'd be shocked if he wasn't a day 2 pick, or a round 2 pick, I mean. But some other ones I love are, one of my favorite corners is Benjamin St-Juste out of Minnesota. He's lengthy. He doesn't have the best speed, but I think he could be a really good player in round 3 or 4. And even teams might view him as a safety. They could even convert him to safety. I still think he's good. And then one of my most, I have 2 linemen that I think are incredibly underrated. One is Stone Forsythe out of Florida. I think you could pick him in maybe round 3 and get a really good starting tackle. And then my other one is Drake Jackson, a center from Kentucky, he might even be like a round 4 pick, and he might not start in his first year, but he could be a really good starting caliber center for a few years at least.
Yeah, I a lot of my guys that I really like are more, they've been getting rumblings about going like day 2. We picked him in the mock, but De'Ami Brown, I think he's gotten lost in, this very deep wide receiver class. I think he's going to make a team very happy with his vertical ability. Um, Another guy I really, really love, who's, not really getting much attention at all, Shi Smith out of South Carolina. I've been preaching this for a long time. I love Shi Smith. I think he's gonna uh, not necessarily, have like a Stephon Diggs type trajectory, but late round pick, eventually works his way up there and becomes a solid contributor for a long time. In terms of offensive line, I think this guy probably goes day 2, like toward the end of round 3. But Brady Christensen, in my opinion, the best player out of BYU in this draft class. That's a joke. That's a joke, Jets fans. Um, Protected Zach Wilson this past year and did a pretty damn good job at it. I believe he only allowed like 1 or 2 sacks all season. Um, like again, a very deep offensive line class. But and I believe there's another guy on defense, Ellerson Smith at the Senior Bowl. I really liked what I saw from him, guy out of Northern Iowa. But we are getting close to our time, 7:57. So go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you to everybody for joining. Alec, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. When I watched Shi Smith during the last 2 seasons at South Carolina, he plays so much bigger than his height. I was shocked when I realized he
Yeah.
wasn't above 6 feet. What he's like 5'10". I was absolutely just dumbfounded. I think he's just a physical player. He just gets the ball. And I just wanted to rattle off a few names that, like, wherever you have them on your draft board, drop them like 20 spots, and then it might be the right place for him. So Dylan Moses, do not pick him before round 4 because he's not good.
Get you holding.
Jackson Carman, if you're picking him as an offensive tackle, it is going to be a horrible pick. He cannot play offensive tackle. And Mac Jones, just drop him like 30 spots on your big board. Just do it.
I agree. So we'll go to wrap it up. Like I said, thank you to everybody for joining today. This was a lot of fun. I was really glad to have Alec on. This is a lot of fun making that mock draft. I'm probably going to come up with another mock draft, like probably a few hours before draft time. But we might have plans for a Thursday show. We're still kind of figuring that out. I plan on joining Nick and Frankie on Timeout, so make sure you guys join that on Thursday. I plan on joining them for a segment, maybe during the Dolphins pick. And we'll probably have another show on Monday, to recap everything that happened, go over some classes that we really liked. Maybe have a show before round 2 starts, but
yeah, I would love to do
updated.
a Friday. I would love to do a Friday evening show before round 2 starts.
Yeah. So we'll keep you guys updated and make sure, get on the uSTADIUM app, keep an eye out for more on the clock news. With that, thank you, Alec, for joining. Thank you, Splash, for producing. And we will see you guys soon. Maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, maybe Monday. We'll keep you updated. Thank you, guys.